Let's try this debate. Is Glastonbury one of the world's largest music festivals? Too white? Speaking to the Radio Times, Lenny Henry, the comedian, was entirely straight-faced when he said, "It's interesting to watch Glastonbury and look at the audience and not see any black people there. I'm always surprised by the lack of black and brown faces at festivals. I think, wow, that's still very much a dominant culture thing." We're asking, is he right? Is Glastonbury too white? What is the dominant culture thing that he's on about? We're joined by Rakib Ehsan, Senior Data Analyst at the Centre for Social Justice, and Sam Dowler, the journalist and broadcaster. Gentlemen, thanks for your time, both. Rakib, if we can start with you, does he have a point?
Well, I think that when we're looking at this debate, we have to work out what we should be exploring and investigating here. For me, I think much of it's to do with genre and geography. Glastonbury's held at Worthy Farm, which is located between two villages in Somerset, Pilton and Pyle. But then you take maybe another festival such as Wireless, which is traditionally held in London. There have also been instances where it's been held in Birmingham. I think this summer it's going to be held at the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham, along with Finsbury Park and Crystal Palace Park. So I think much of it could be is down to the kind of music that's traditionally played at festivals, and where they're located. And I think that the point that Sir Lenny Henry, according to what's being reported, he said that festivals traditionally are not multi-ethnic, they're not particularly diverse. But I don't think that's the case. I mean, if you take Wireless, for example, I'd say that the festival goes there, if you take it as a whole, it is quite multi-ethnic.
Isn't that what Lenny Henry's doing? He's turning into a race issue, something which actually need not be. It might be about class, it might be about money, it might be about age. I mean, generally speaking, the people who are going to Glastonbury, heaven forfend, I've never been one, thank God, are of a certain age and of a certain background.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I think Lenny Henry is absolutely right. I've worked in the music industry for many years, and a good 10 years ago, he's right. I mean, it's like what Emily Evis said just in the paper today, I think it was, that it was about time when but it was too late, rather, that they had Stormzy on and they had like Jay-Z on. It was like almost like a surprise, or like, oh look, we've got Jay-Z, look, we've got like a black and brown artist on, when of course it isn't particularly inclusive to only have like headliners that are all white, like Coldplay, etc. And at the same time, I agree with Rakib, it is to do with positioning, and I've got like a gang of black girlfriends who would never go camping, and so I mean it's to do with things like that. And I think every time I've been to Glastonbury, there is a huge sort of like, it's a bit middle class, I have to say, and extremely white. And when you do get black and brown people there, it's more integrated, as opposed to like, groups of black or brown people, which you would see much more likely to be at Wireless, for example.
Rakib, I'm fighting the impulse to say, so what? I mean, so what? I mean, if in a free society, people will associate with whom they like. In an audience, I mean, there are different arguments about representation in politics, in the workplace, in the media, but unless you're going to start, sweeping the streets and saying, look, we're a bit worried about the representation of the audience here, so, here's some free tickets, to make Lenny Henry feel better about, I'm really struggling with the kind of relevance of this story, but tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I think, Colin, as you know, that I'm very passionate about social cohesion. That's my bread and butter. That's what I do in terms of research. But I think ultimately one of the classic principles of British democracy is freedom of association. And I think much of this feels all a bit forced, to be fair. I think Glastonbury traditionally, to my understanding, it's quite indie/rock oriented. So there could be a discussion that maybe they should have looked to have diversified the kind of music that's being played there. But then to what extent does that undermine the traditions which underpin Glastonbury as a music festival? But I think the point there that Sir Lenny was making, the point that, he was almost suggesting that festivals across the board are predominantly white. Well, firstly, we do live in a predominantly white country. I think I'd make that point. But actually, I don't think that's even true. I think that festivals such as Wireless, if you actually look at the overall attendees, quite young, ethnically diverse, and I think much of that again might be down to the kind of music that's being played, that's more R&B, hip hop, rap oriented. And traditionally, Wireless is held in various parts of London, along with Birmingham, and I think in one instance it was held in West Yorkshire as well. So in those sort of heavily populated, ethnically diverse metropolitan centres.
Sam Dowell, we've got about 25 seconds left. Is this intervention from Lenny Henry useful in any way, or is it just sensitising people to race questions which actually don't even need putting?
I think obviously Sir Lenny has the right to say whatever he feels like, and I agree with him when it comes to Glastonbury in particular, and various festivals like the Isle of Wight. But it's like Rakib said, like these are indie or rock or pop festivals, whereas you look at things that like Mighty Hoopla, for example, which are mainly LGBTQ people. Like there's a vast amount of like black and brown people there. So it's all to do with the type of music and also the inclusion that you get from what the promoters are putting out.
Rakib Ehsan, we're going to leave it there. Appreciate your time and your thoughts.